there's like social media influencers has been like what someone might refer to me on like TikTok, but I'll just be like content creator, which pretty much means nothing. It means you make you make things. Like if you make yourself like cereal in the morning, you're a content creator.
Hello and welcome. I'm Marcus.
And I'm David.
And this is So What Do You Say You Do? A show where we compare the job you have and the job
your parents wish you had. Psych!
Thanks, David.
Who do we have on today?
We have Max Blanche, a filmmaker, content creator extraordinaire who's had some viral success on TikTok. And who's our second guest, David?
Our second guest is Matisse Caglia. He is a YouTube content creator. You can find his channel in the link below. So, Marcus, it's been a few months since our last episode aired.
It has.
What's that about?
Well, we can make excuses, but let's be honest. We were probably just, a little lazy, a little... Yeah, we did produce a show in that time. So, that was something that we were busy with. So,
it is, yeah. And people can also find that on the YouTube page, Deer on the Moon Entertainment, which is something that we kind of considered being a branch off of So What Did You Say You Do?
It's true. It's So What Did You Say True?
So What Did You Say Productions? But yeah, I think the reason for not doing that is because we just want to make as many brands as possible and just stamp our freaking names on all of them.
Exactly. Our motto is make something and see how it goes.
All right. Without further ado, this is content creator versus content creator.
If you can just give a little introduction and each tell us what you do.
So my name is Matisse Caglia. I'm from Vancouver. I just graduated from Studio 58. I'm a dad. I have a 2.5-year-old, beautiful little girl. And then that's like my regular life. And other than that, I'm just started creating content on YouTube. I'm a tap dancer originally for the past 20 years since I was a kid, and just trying to make it in this game, just trying to have some fun and uplift the people around me.
Hell yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm Max Blanche. I'm also from Vancouver. I graduated from Langara College in the film program doing directing. I make music, and I guess I hate like social media influencer. Like TikTok content creator? I don't know. I don't have a good name for it. Make silly videos about my butt on the internet guy. Yeah, make work on lots of like music videos and little fun stuff like that. Freelance video editor / janitor right now.
I feel like the fancy way of saying that is maybe like short internet videographer.
Videographer. It
like
seems
that.
like anything seems like too nice of a title for really what
Yeah.
Artiste with an E.
As pretentious as possible.
Yeah. Well, one of the first questions we were thinking of asking is, do you have any heroes, and how have those heroes influenced your work?
I think like I grew up sort of. I've always found it sort of interesting. Like I was born in 1998. I think 1998 is like the first year Google is when Google was created or something. So like the internet has been always a thing for me. And I think like right when I was in like late elementary school, high school was like YouTube, like the kind of like big, like YouTube was huge and it was like just starting. There was all these content creators that were sort of making things themselves, and they were doing well and stuff like that just by making, they didn't need to be behind like a big corporation or anything like that. They weren't on cable.
Right. They were like the original pioneers.
Yeah. I don't know if I don't, there's a problematic guy, but also like sort of has come around nowadays, but like Bo Burnham, a lot of his stuff when I was younger, I thought was like so funny and cool, and I was like wanted to do a lot of stuff like that. I remember when I was younger also, I was like, I really like Mario from Super Mario. I just like he's just like a normal dude, and he's also like a super like hero, like like the Avengers and stuff. Like everyone's so incredible, but like Mario is just a guy, and I always thought
Yeah.
that was really inspiring for myself. Yeah, man.
I love that.
That's awesome. But for me, it's like, I mean, for me, really, like when it comes to heroes or people that I've looked up to a lot, I mean, I'm so new to like this digital space, but for me, like when it comes down to it, it comes down to like tap dance legends. So people like Bunny Briggs, Jimmy Slide, Sandman Sims. There's a lot, Lon Chaney, Chuck Green, the Condos brothers. A lot of names that like most people will not recognize, but these are like
Right.
this is what like everything that I know as a tap dancer is rooted in, like these black tap dancers who mostly black who basically gave this art form life. And so I mean, for me, how they influence my work now, it's like whenever I'm putting tap dance out into the world, especially on the internet, it's really tricky because tap dance has such a like it's so important to know your history when it comes to tap dance and like respect the dance in that way, but also there's a balance of like
Yeah.
moving the art form forward in this like new age where like it is about like quick entertaining content. It is about like working with whatever trends are happening and doing that without taking away from the roots of tap and like jazz music. It's a really tough balance. So it's scary for me to sometimes put out content that has tap dance in it because like I want to do justice to those people, right? But when it
Yeah.
comes down to it, they influence me in the way where it's just like, you know what, this is what we love to do, what inspires me every day. So like I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna figure it out, right?
Yeah. I'm really curious. Like what was your first steps into tap dancing? Was it something that your parents brought you
Yeah.
into, or
I mean, it was like my mom was taking tap classes. She's been dancing like on and off her whole life, and so when I was young, she would just take me to shows. Like I was just sort of around the art form and saw the shoes, and I was like, I want to dance. Like it was never like, okay, like Matisse, you got to go to dance class, or it was never like you got to do ballet, jazz, this, everything. It was like I just love tap, and so I just did tap. And it made me think of when you're talking about Max, when you're talking about how like how Bo Burnham was problematic like at times, which I think most content creators like in that time probably were problematic just because our world was, well, it still is problematic, that's obvious. But like the content, like what was considered funny or comedy was like, it was different, right? And so back then like tap dancing definitely wasn't accepted as like a male, like a straight male driven art form, even though it's rooted in a lot of male dancers. And so I was lucky to like come up and start dancing in an environment with other like strong male figures that I could look up to, and that sort of gave me the confidence to continue with tap dance, whether I was getting like bullied around it or like that kind of stuff. And so I got into it. I loved it. I had like the right surroundings and the right influences to keep me going. And then I like literally picked it over everything. I used to do karate, soccer, gymnastics, like all that. And then at one point it was like, okay, what do I want to dedicate my time to? It was always tap dance.
Yeah.
there's definitely a moment when you're younger and you're playing like three sports. You're playing soccer, volleyball, basketball, and then at some point you have to make a decision. Okay, if I'm gonna go competitive, it can only be with one, because I have to dedicate all my time to. What was that moment for you?
I was doing gymnastics at that point, and basically I was doing gymnastics and dancing, and gymnastics is crazy. Like at 8 years old, they're like, okay, you're gonna start doing 24 hours a week of gym, like being at the gym, right? Like I was already doing 12 hours a week.
Yeah.
So that was like, a few sessions, like 3 or 4 hour sessions a week, and they wanted me to double up. So at that point it was like, okay, what do I really love
Mhm.
doing and spending my time doing? And so that was an easy decision. And that's when it came to, it was like when the other competitive and like those other forms were like getting bigger, it was like, no, I need to stop that. I need to put all my time into tap. And then I started basically tap dancing 24 hours a week anyways, but I was doing
Yeah.
that because I really liked it. Yeah.
There's something to say about like the thing that you're passionate about, and getting like getting shit for it, getting bullied for the thing that you want to do, but like despite that continuing to do it. It gives you like a whole like another like sort of perspective on like the sort of thing that drives you. Like even if you're willing to sort of take all this from people and let that kind of like use that, the bullying and the sort of the way people make you feel, to even, I don't know, go like dive in further and just kind of don't let that stop you. It's really interesting. I don't know if that's something I've experienced with like filmmaking. Like no one ever bullied me for making videos or whatever, but I think that there is times when there is pressure to be like in sports or something like that, and I was
But yeah, there's definitely still like a more sort of mainstream option
I
out there.
grew like I'm like 6'5" or something, and in like grade 12, like there was like what, oh, do you play basketball, I'm like, no, I'm in the theater program. And they're like, oh, like I like.
Did your parents ever tell you to play
They-
basketball too?
No, they're pretty artsy fartsy as well, so they were cool with it. But I think there is sort of like, and you're talking about like tap dancing isn't like societally considered like I guess like just like dancing in general is more of a female, like the idea, I don't know, there's like a societal norm that it's feminine or something, but that's all kind of bullshit, and like anyone can do that sort of thing.
It's like, and it is like, it comes down to how much sports are funded versus the arts, how much how much money is into it, like in it already for the last how many years, that just that sheer fact means that those sports or those things are looked at as more important or mainstream or whatever. And so when it comes to filmmaking or dancing or whatever, it's not like encouraged from a young age necessarily. I mean, for dance for sure, for like a lot of and it's changed now too, right? Like the stigmas are definitely changing, and as dance and as those things come more into mainstream like media and TV and stuff, so it's good to have that change. But yeah, no, just thinking back, like I always had, like, because I did love playing sports too, right? Like I love playing basketball and doing all that stuff, and it was like always a balance of like, you know, this, having like, it's sort of like code shifting, right? Like you switch, okay, now you're with like the sports people, now you're with the arts people, and then trying to blend those together is always, it's always fun to like bring those two groups together, and then you realize how much they have in common. But
yeah, totally.
like like my uncle is a French kickboxer, and like super manly, like, the like just the classic like man's man, whatever that fucking means. But I'm like, I did like one of his classes one time, and all I could think about was like how it's like a dance. Like it's like they're like turning and throwing their legs up and doing all this stuff, and I'm telling them that, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, this is kickboxing, this is fighting. Like, it's so connected, and that's what people need to start realizing for sure.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, like in fighting there's like rhythm to it, like that's the base of dance.
Yeah, and it's also cool that like like these two groups, like if you sort of are like one track minded, and you don't like, not to say your uncle is like this or anything, but like sort of like people that are sort of like, oh, I only do sports, or I only do like that, like and to have someone like come in and relate it to dance like that, like there's actually probably a lot they could learn about their sport and make like, and actually improve if they're willing to sort of accept that this other information from a different group of people.
Totally.
You know, sort of like add the diversity
Mm.
to
Yeah.
the thing you're doing, and like try and figure out if you can learn something from these other groups of people with different perspectives.
This reminds me a lot of our first episode, which was
Mm.
improv people, and we paired them up with hockey players, and we found out that like there's
Yeah.
Oh
a
yeah.
lot in common.
For that, it was like the team aspect, and like it's all performance, which I guess is a lot of things. Most things we do are for other people to bear
Mhm.
witness to them, you know, in art or really anything. There's not a lot of things that, like, you know, unless I guess, I mean, even when you clean doorknobs, you know, you're doing it
Yeah,
for
yeah,
other
yeah.
people.
I hope the context of the fact that I do like clean doorknobs would be included in that.
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
that was for just for a disclaimer. I clean doorknobs for my living right now, so that's also a thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there was something I was gonna say about maybe just to sort of switch the conversation into a different conversation about
Yeah, totally.
the like between me and Matisse, like a lot of the stuff that I do in film and video and stuff like that is not a live, like the way that people consume it isn't a live experience. It's like edited,
Mm.
and that's something I find a lot of comfort in, the fact that it isn't a live thing. It's something that I like when I'm working on it, you know, it's alive and stuff like that, and then I finish it, like make sure it's as good as it can be, and then when it goes out to the world or whatever, people watch the perfect version of it every single time, and it's not like the flaws or anything like
Yeah.
that I've accepted already. But when you're practicing to perform live, it's a whole nother world. I wonder if you want to talk about that a bit.
That's why I love being on stage, is because it is live. It is like right there. The people are right there. You can feel their energy. I love like especially the tap dance that I'm rooted in, like rhythm dance. It's very you're very much connected with the audience, and sometimes talking to the audience, like all that, and your mistakes become part of the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
So now that I'm like
Mm.
transitioning into making content, and I'm not a filmmaker at all. I'm not an editor. I'm not anything. I'm just like an artist trying to make something happen. It's like interesting to find like, well, it's a different muscle, right? Because now that I'm able to edit myself, I'm able to do that. Like, you know, I find like when it comes to creating content, it's like 50% is the person behind the camera and 50% is the person editing it too. Because I don't consider myself like the funniest guy, but when I can edit a thing and make it quick and whatever and put music, it adds like a whole different part of it that you don't really get in a live performance either, right? And so it's definitely a balance, and I think it comes back to like honoring the dance too when you're putting it on the internet as a video. It's like if you make it perfect and cut out all the little bits, so you're like, I don't know, yeah, it's like I've been trying to find that balance of like showing what I feel comfortable with, but then also showing the whole experience when it does come to like showing tap dance on the internet.
Yeah, that's interesting, like trying to involve the live performance in a video, the live aspect of what you're doing in a video that is like completely not live anymore, leaving in like mistakes, but not really mistakes, and like leaving in these sort of things, I guess, that make it feel more like a performance.
And like there's so many, like when you're editing, there's so many opportunities to make your mistakes like funny too and make them a bit. And so like I love doing that. And like so I just uploaded right before coming on here, and it was like a jam. We did a bunch of jamming, and the like what I wanted to like basically capture was sort of, the idea was that I just called up my friends last minute. I'm like, hey, do you want to jam? And we showed up, just did like a 5-minute jam, just like
Mhm.
how I always do is like meet up with my friends. We just like create something on the spot
Yeah.
and that's it. And so like I sort of that was my idea, was to capture that like live feeling, but on this not live
Yeah.
platform. And
Uh-huh.
and it's been interesting like figuring out how to make like the audience watching the screen like feel like they're there as well, like they
Mhm.
are there live. Because
Mm.
you know, like I feel like especially with a lot of vloggers and stuff, like the point is to make people feel like they're there with you and just like sort
Yeah.
of experiencing your day or whatever. Or and so yeah, no, it is an interesting balance to
Yeah. I think it's deciding not to edit is like, I think what makes something feel more live in a video. Not to say that the whole thing can be edited, but like there's moments where you're like, oh, I could fix that, or I could get rid of this flub, and it's like consciously making the decision to like, no, I actually want to keep that in, and by you're not really doing anything, you're doing nothing, and that's what's making it more live.
and to that too, like now that I've been looking, like watching a lot of content on YouTube, like realizing that some of the most popular and most watched people literally like hold their camera like sideways
Yeah.
while they're filming, and it's like it's trash, but it's so real. Like it's so
Yeah.
real that it's like undeniably like just them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't cut a lot. They're just like, you know, especially a lot of like family vlog
Yeah.
people, like they're just filming like their kids being real. They're filming themselves like being there, and
Yeah. People
it's
respond to that.
and it's like a lot of people
Yeah.
can relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why so many people are moving away from movies and TV, and they're going onto YouTube to get their content fixed, because they get that sort of feeling of trust, because sometimes the editing isn't perfect in a YouTube video sometimes, but they feel like they can kind of relate better to someone
Yeah,
on
it's
YouTube.
like you're their friend or something when you're watching it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like the feeling of watching a TV show or watching a reality TV show on cable is doesn't even compare to watching someone's YouTube vlogs, or I don't know, like
Mm.
yeah, some of these big YouTube like stars that have pretty much just documented their lives, and yeah, you feel like you know them. You feel you definitely have you're definitely closer to them than you are in the cable world. Like you can directly comment to this person who you know actually exists and is running this account that you're watching the video on, like, and there's a chance that they could
Yeah.
respond or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's more personal, which is funny because I feel like older people might like say like, oh, this world is becoming less and less personal. And I think that in the video
Mm.
YouTube world, it's like people feel more connected to the content creator, which I think is a better thing than sort of cable world.
Well, and now like creators are capitalizing on it, like with all the
Yeah.
like membership stuff. Like
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of that come out where, you know, YouTube has the join button already, but then there's other like membership programs where you get to like FaceTime with them, you get to do all this like, stuff,
Yeah.
which also for me is like, okay, where is the limit? Like how much of my life am I
Yeah.
like exploiting for like the content or for people, or like what, you
Right.
know, but
Totally.
because it's like it's so easy to just go and film everything and let people in, but then it's like, okay, where's your privacy? When's your day off? When's your this and that? But
Yeah.
no, that personal aspect is definitely like people are, you know, especially since like the YouTube format has changed and like how creators get paid, like they want to capitalize on people wanting to be like your friend, right? And
Yeah. Totally.
it's
Mm.
interesting to witness.
Yeah, I think like also I think that a lot of content creators on YouTube, like I think that people thought if you made a YouTube video and it got a lot of views, that YouTube was going to pay the person for like all those views because they're having people come to YouTube. And I think to a certain extent people do get sort
Mm.
of paid from that, but I think that these like Patreon accounts and stuff like that is really the way that content creators get paid. I honestly have no idea what I'm talking about, but this is what I think is that there's like sponsors and then also these
Yeah.
Patreons that people pay like a monthly thing. And that's like that feels like it's like you're directly like transferring this person to keep making videos instead of YouTube being like, oh, thank you for making this video and making our little YouTube like website like people come and watch videos. I feel like that's not the case anymore. They don't need to pay. They don't need to, like, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, you have to pay us for all the traffic that you're throwing onto your channel.
Oh, I was gonna say we were talking about sort of the line of sort of exploiting your life for like content. I've in 2019 I filmed like my entire year and sort of just like made these 1 minute vlogs of each month, and I think like the first couple months was sort of just, it just sort of was a fun project. And then I think I started to think a bit too much about making them interesting and making them like lots of content in them and sort of going out and doing things for these videos. And I realized like that like felt a lot like that felt really like fake, and I didn't actually enjoy it. And I could recognize like when something I filmed and put in a video that looked really fun that actually wasn't that much fun when I went and did it. And I was just like, oh, this is kind of gross. Actually, this feels really gross. So then I started just giving myself this rule that like, I'm gonna like, I'm gonna go, if I'm gonna go do something and I plan to do this thing, I think I'm gonna film it, but I'm not gonna go do something to film it. You know what I mean? Like it was just like, it's sort of like, oh, I have these plans and I'm gonna film those things, but I'm not gonna go, hey, let's go here and film, like, because I need more video content.
And
you know
then,
what I mean?
but then on the flip side, and I've been going through that same like mental dilemma. I've only had like 8 videos out, so I've already been through that dilemma. And the other side of it is like when you are just going to do something with people or by yourself, or I mean with people, it's like, and then you have your camera, like I don't want to be that guy who's just like always filming people when we're just trying to like chill, or like film an event when we're just trying to like be normal. And so like finding the balance of like, okay, like do I like like because I found like I had some other friends who were sort of just filming stuff, and I'm kind of like, I don't really want to be on camera right now. Like I thought we were just hanging out. Then it's like, but then finding the balance of like actually having fun, going out to do something to get content. You know what I'm trying to say? Because
there's a certain amount of like,
if you know you're like, okay, I'm gonna go out to get content. This is what I'm doing. Okay, whatever. It's sort of like work.
Yeah.
But like I don't want to just be like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with my buddy, and then he's like, are you gonna film again? Really? Like it's like that. It's such a weird balance, and it's such a it's a tough one.
I think it's maybe just a matter of like, for myself, I knew the people that did enjoy being on camera, and I knew the people that didn't. And if I sort of got the feeling that it wasn't a good time, then
then you don't.
Or having a conversation before and be like, is it cool? Like if there's like plans that we're going to go see the show, and then or we're going to this party or whatever, and then it's like, is it cool if I bring my camera? And then people will be like, or if someone's like, I could see that. I could definitely see that. It was like, I've been to like in this same project, I would go to a lot of parties and film like my friends, but I was like very conscious about like, oh, I don't want someone to feel uncomfortable about me like having this camera out, especially when everyone's drunk at a party. And it's like, I probably would be like a little sketched out by a dude in the corner filming everybody at a party. There's like a consent thing about with the camera and public spaces as well as private spaces, obviously.
Do you ever find that like when you're filming your life that you're not experiencing it as much as you would if like you didn't have a camera in your hands?
This is a big question for me.
A big one,
There's a lot there. I think that I think my focus and like something that really drives me about filming my life, which I think is almost a bad thing, is that I like one of my biggest fears is that I'll forget sort of things that are happening, or like have Alzheimer's or dementia or something like that. So I film as much as I can and store and archive as much footage as I can. Every like movie I've made since I was like 10 years old, I have all the raw footage of it on like hard drives because I want to be able to remember it. But I do think that I remember it through the viewfinder filming my friends, and I don't remember it being there, and I already recognize that about things when I'm
Yeah.
like videos that I've made when I was younger, where like people will be talking about this thing, but I only can remember this memory through like this video I have of it. So in ways it's really
Whoa.
in ways it's really helpful for me. It makes me feel like comfortable, but in ways it's kind of scary. I don't know. I haven't really I haven't really unpacked that enough. That's just sort of where it is right now.
I guess it's finding that balance of like remembering the moment and not remembering how difficult it
Yeah.
was to film that moment
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like, I haven't really, since I'm so new to it, I haven't really like asked myself the question too much. But what I've heard, and what I feel is like, what I've heard from other people is like sometimes they're like, I feel more present when I'm filming because I'm actually like there trying to have fun, and I'm not like on my phone or like this or distracted. I'm just like there in the moment to have to enjoy whatever's happening.
Yeah.
And especially for me, like filming and like time hanging out with my daughter, it's like, okay, do I just like enjoy this like, yeah. And I'm like talking in my brain to myself right now. It's like do I just enjoy this moment and not film and just be here because I just want to enjoy, or is this worth like throwing on the into like my next vlog or whatever? And so I think that's why for me right now it's like, okay, I'm doing this to film it. This is filming time, like whatever. Or even if I'm like, okay, we're gonna film like hanging out with my daughter today, at least I know I'm gonna do it, and I know that that's that. And then other time I'm like, can't be bothered. I'm like, my partner will be like, you should be totally filming this, and I'm like, no, I just want to like make this recipe with my daughter, enjoy this time. Like, I'm not gonna pull the camera out right now because I won't be present, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's also sort of like, who are you filming this footage for? Like, really, like, are you filming this for yourself because you want, like, you cherish it a lot? Are you filming it for your daughter so she can see it when she's older? Or are you filming this for people on the internet to see and see how your life is? Which is not like, which people could probably take that as like, people on the internet, you're just doing this for people on the internet. But people like to, like, I think that there's not that much like harm to that. Like, some people want to see this stuff. Some people would find it helpful and interesting. But you're sort of like, that's the sort of conversation I'll have with myself, is like, who am I filming this for, really?
Yeah, and I think that's really important too, because like obviously, I mean, I started doing YouTube because I want to grow like myself as a brand, as an artist, as like a creator, which like I already was. This is just like another outlet for that. So like my goal is to is to grow this channel, is for people to see it, is for that. But making sure that that's not like my main focus all the time, because then and I've watched other people's content where they're saying like, make sure you're just making this content for yourself to be happy, and then like the rest will come. But then there's also the other side where it's like, this is a business. You have to be consistent. You have to put out content. You have to do this.
Yeah.
You want it to grow and you want people to see it. Like, I was like, even like with a thumbnail, it's like, okay, do I pack this with like all this stuff, or and like, is that going to get more clicks, or is just like a more simple, more genuine thing going to get more clicks? I don't know. What makes me just like feel better and more happy? And that's like what I always come back to, is like, what's gonna, like, doing it for myself, I guess, in the end.
Yeah.
Because if you're just like, it's tough because you are doing it for views, but if you just do it for views, then like it's not genuine anymore, I think.
Yeah. I think also a question is like, what is the expectation that you have about the content that you're making? Like, do you expect this to be doing well, seeing like lots of people seeing it, lots of people interacting with it? Do you expect it to just sort of be something your friends are seeing? Do you expect it to just be something that you do for yourself to teach yourself? And if you can know what you're expecting, then I think it's easier to make these decisions of like, oh, I expect this video to do really well and there to be lots of views. So when I'm thinking about the thumbnail, I'm keeping that in mind. I'm gonna be looking at what does well, and I'm gonna make those decisions, even if they don't seem like totally like something that you would do just if only you saw it. I think being realistic about like that sort of stuff is I don't know, more I think people can beat themselves up a little bit too much about these decisions, but then they expect it to do really well, but they're not doing anything that would make it do really well.
Yeah,
And then it kind of makes them, it kind of frustrates them.
Yeah. Something I've always struggled with is just putting stuff out there for the sake of it and not thinking like, oh, people are going to think I'm self-absorbed or something. Like, what got you over that hurdle of just putting stuff on the internet?
Honestly, for me, it was yeah, realizing that it does take some sort of crazy confidence to just like do stuff or create a podcast or do whatever and be like, do people even give a shit? I don't know. Like, but also for me, it was like, okay, like COVID-19 changed everything, right? It was like, I'm stuck at home, I'm here, I'm watching YouTube all day, I'm seeing like all these, like, in a way, it's like, there's so much like shitty content that gets so many views, and especially with like cooking and stuff. Like, I make some cooking videos because I love cooking, and I absolutely like that's always going to be part of like my thing. But and it was like it's an easy way in for me because like I can just set up the camera, I can be myself, I can just cook and whatever. But the amount of like cooking videos that you see that are just such shit that have, you know, 500,000 views or whatever, and they're getting consistently like that many views on all their videos, and they're like literally the shittiest quality and whatever. It was just like, I was just like, okay, if these people can do it, then like I can do it, you know. And it was just like, I don't, you know, like whether people care or not or whatever, it's like I can do it. This is like the best opportunity. I'm not working, I'm not this, like I'm just gonna spend my time doing this and see if I can't grow something, like, you know, like, because when it comes down to it, like I'm an actor, I'm a dancer, like when they're hiring people, they look at social media, they look at how many Instagram, they look at this, they look at that. And I'm not like, it's so funny because like I'm not big on, I've never been big on posting, on liking, on commenting on this and whatever. But now like I'm like, okay, if I want to be successful in this industry besides YouTube, like that has to be, it doesn't have to be, but it can be a big part of like your job.
Right.
And so when it came to like doing YouTube, it was like, if I have this on YouTube, like I have an instant portfolio. I can be like, hey, just check out my YouTube channel. You can see me dance, you can see me act, you can see me cook, you can see me do everything. And so that it definitely came down to that for me, where it was just like, screw it, you know, like whatever, do it for myself. And the people, and I'm doing it so far, I'm getting like what, I don't know, max 200 views so far on any of my videos. It's been like a couple months, but it's all my friends, it's all people who are like super supportive, everyone's like leaving nice comments and all that. And I think like that's what's been the best part, is just like appreciating the people who do show up and who have been watching my videos, and not being too concerned with like the next 100 subscribers that I like need to get or whatever. It's like I have 145, I think 46 subscribers, and I'm like thankful for each and every one of them, and I know that they support me and they like it. So that's like that's just like what keeps me going. And then
totally,
hopefully it grows bigger, of course, but I'm not like hyper focused on like, okay, how am I going to get 10 new subscribers? Although I do try and put a good thumbnail, I do try and put a good you know, like name on the thing. Like I'm not trying to shoot myself in the foot here, but it's a balance.
And I think that that's something that is really important, the like continuing to make the content that you're making that makes you happy, even though it's not like even though it's not necessarily getting lots and lots and lots of viral like views, you know. And I think that if you get to like, when you get to a point where it takes off and like it like you get that video that like goes really big, there's a lot more integrity and respect to see that you've been doing this, that you didn't just start doing it when you kind of got this opportunity to do it. Like, I think that's something that I notice in like influencers and stuff like that. Like someone blows up on TikTok or something like that, and then instantly they have a music career, and it's like, or something like that. It's like, were you always making music, or like you have a cooking show or something that's like, were you always doing this? Do you actually do this, or is it just sort of now it's a thing, like you're just sort of capitalizing on this thing that you have access to? And I think like when you go back on someone's video, who's like, someone pops up on Reddit and it's like they got this one video that does well, and you go back and you see they've been doing this for years, even though nobody's been watching it, or nobody, air quotes. That's a lot. There's a lot more respect and integrity, I think, there, where you go like, oh, this person's been working on it and it's like paying off. You know, it takes a long time, and I think when people they're just not giving up is something that I think people recognize as like really important. You know.
Yeah, and I think like that definitely will, like, when you do blow up, your chances of being like more of a long-term success are way higher if you already have like people who have followed you from the beginning and you have been grinding for a long time, because those people will like be there for you, you know, like
totally.
And I've been the same for many like YouTubers or artists, like especially one, Anderson .Paak. Like I've been listening to him for 10 years, since his name was Breezy Lovejoy. No one knew who he was. He was uploading stuff on YouTube, making music, collaborating, and now he's huge. And I feel like I was like, yeah, I like supported this person from like when they were nobody, and they've been grinding and they deserve it, and I will support them for sure.
Totally.
You see like people who blow up out of nothing, like you usually don't hear about them 3 months later, you know. Like,
the ability to like maintain those stuff, like when I the whole like TikTok thing for me has been a whole like a fucking like experience. It's been a super weird year, and I think like when I've made a TikTok that blew up, like really blew up, the first thing I was thinking was like, I think the next 3 videos or something like TikToks that I make are really important, because it'll decide if this is just like, oh, that's that one you know, that one Vine in that Vine compilation, you know, and then you're like, where is this person? Like, what do they do? They just like, they're just that person or whatever. And I was just like, oh yeah, like this sort of needing to, that you can tell when something like someone's really like, I don't know, got something if they can maintain it also once they get that one chance, which is difficult as hell. Not even saying that I've been able to do that, because since that video, I haven't been able to make anything that's done that well, but like trying to like continue to like keep people and grow this has been a thing. And I think it's also a huge stress. Like when you, like, I think when you get this one shot, everyone sort of talks about it. And we're also like all like growing up in the internet age, like, it's like, oh crap, when that happens, like you got to be kind of ready.
Yeah, and like I was thinking about that too when you were talking about like capitalizing on sort of blowing up out of nowhere.
Yeah,
it's like it comes like sort of like this whole podcast is, we're talking about balance. Basically, it's like the balance between capitalizing like on that moment, and but then also keeping your integrity in like, because you do want to capitalize, like when you have, you know, millions of people looking at you, that's sort of like what you want.
Yeah, especially in these days, like with the internet, like the fact that there's all these people looking at you seems so rare, just because of how many things there are to look at.
For sure. And TikTok, I mean, was crazy, just the way it works, right? Like, that like the chances of blowing up are way greater. And like that was, and for me too, it was like, do I use this as a tool to try and like bring people over to my YouTube or to other stuff or whatever, which I probably should do more. But it's like, okay, is this also bringing me joy as a creator?
Like, are you making it into a TikTok thing because you think it needs to be, or like does it actually exist as a TikTok show? You know what I mean?
Right. It was like, it was more like, okay, I should be on TikTok so I can like
Oh, gotcha.
blow up my other stuff, rather than being like, I love making TikToks and I'm so inspired to like do some cool shit on here.
Yeah.
Like that's not where I was at. I was more at like, oh, I should do this to blow up my other shit. And then I didn't do it because it wasn't honest, right? Like,
yeah, and that's important. I think there's like, you see that a lot on TikTok where like musicians, especially, everyone's seeing that. Like I used to work for like Warner Music Group, and like the switch of like the top 40 and the rise of TikTok, they sort of both slid and became the same thing. Whereas like if you have the top sound on TikTok right now, you also have the top 40 spot on like the charts. And so everything went to there. So there's so many musicians and artists going on TikTok and like just being like, hey, I'm here, here's my, like, here's me being funny, I'm a real person, you know, I'm a real person. Oh, also here's the single, you know, like
Yeah.
yeah. Also, disclaimer, I know this is a podcast, but these, like, we're in a Zoom video chat and I'm drinking water out of a wine glass. I'm not just drinking wine at 3 p.m. I promise. I just like drinking water out of a wine glass. It's classy.
I'm curious, you both talked about like Anderson .Paak is an example of somebody who's been grinding it out for years and then has like kind of exploded in the past couple of years. Do you think that being on the grind is something that is being rewarded nowadays? Because I find that I've looked at the algorithms of both YouTube and TikTok, and I don't really understand it, to be honest, but it rewards a lot of uncreative content, like really just shitty content sometimes.
Like, do you, like it rewards shitty content because it's like consistent though?
I think
I don't
both
know.
algorithms reward watch time, like being able to like the biggest things that these websites and apps want to do is keep you there. So I mean TikTok has switched it up a couple of times. No one really knows how the algorithm works, but it pretty much, like, when you make a TikTok, it gets sent out no matter what. Like, somebody in the world is going to watch this TikTok, like, which is different from any other platform. Where you make a post on Instagram, nobody is going to see that post unless they follow you or searched you up. I mean, at least this is how it was when I started maybe a year ago. And it was like, you made this post on TikTok, it's sent to like 10 people. If like all those 10 people watch it all the way through, this is just like a almost like, I don't really know this, I just think that's how it was. If all those 10 people watch it, it gets sent to another 10 people, and if all those 10 people watch it, and they're just sort of playing the odds of this video doing well. And then you'll kind of notice, because when I first made this video, you know, it was like that when they talk about it all the time, like things like the numbers sort of jumping, but it's really a snowball with TikTok, where it's like, oh, I have 50, oh, like hundreds, and then thousands, and then like 10,000s, and then 100,000s, and they like literally going up by minutes in these huge numbers, and now it's like millions, and it's like, I think that's sort of how their algorithm works. And if people are rewatching it and talking about it in the comments, at least at that time, that's what kept people there. And so, you know, to say like the content isn't good, yeah, I think that TikTok has a lot of like really like easily like made fun of content, because it's like sort of cringy, it's sort of stuff, but these kids are watching these videos, so there's like, you can't like, I guess you can't really judge the videos as much as you can judge the people wanting to watch those videos. You know what I mean?
And the thing too is like,
That makes sense.
What I always say is like, no matter how bad content is, like the difference between like someone who's not putting out content and someone who is that they're actually just doing it. And so like, you know, like as much as I'm like, or I used to be like, yeah, whatever, there's so much shitty content here and there, whatever, but those people are doing, like, they're just doing it, so then they're getting seen, right? Like, if you're just doing, then that, like, that's already commendable in its own, you know, especially for something like TikTok, where it's like, yeah, one of your videos could blow up and then you can keep that snowball going. With YouTube, I feel like you have to be like, especially now that the algorithm has changed, you have to be like super consistently putting out content that is like within their guidelines for them to like promote you, and it takes way more time. Like it's more of a slow burn.
I think it's long form. YouTube's like wants videos that are like closer to like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because there's like more ad space and there's more like keeping someone there to watch it, and also just engaging into a point where people just don't leave the site after they watch your video. They watch it all the way through and then they watch the next recommended video. I think those kind of things, if they're seeing traffic like that, then they're going to keep promoting this video.
Yeah. It's interesting how that works because, you know, a 10-minute video, I could watch that right now. And then you watch like 5 10-minute videos, like you're almost at an hour. But if you were to like, this is like an hour-long video, I don't know if I can do that.
Totally. It's sort of a mind game of like, I think like with TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, the thing that I notice in myself is I don't really know how long I spend on these apps when I'm using them in like a session or something. Like I'll use TikTok and I'll just be like, wow, I don't know what stopped me using this app. Like I think maybe I like had to eat or I had to poo or pee. Like I don't remember when it started. I don't remember how long it took. Like, and that just goes to show
you in like no other fucking app. Like literally,
because it's the algorithm is wild. The way they curate this stuff to you, what you like, like the more you spend on the app, the more they like, this is Max's personal favorite videos, and every day these videos exist, and then they get put into categories, and then when I wake up the next morning, they're like, we got like 70 new videos that Max might like. Let's give them to him.
And every day they'll suck you in for like a few more minutes.
Yeah, but they put in like 1 or 2 that you might not like because they're using you to also test. Like they like, okay, they have a profile of what Max likes, and they have a profile of this other person, and they go like, okay, if Max likes this, then this person is going to like this other video. So they're using us as like beta testers while we're using the app. It's so wild.
Wow.
Like we're working for TikTok in the algorithm while we watch it.
The Matrix.
It's actually brilliant. I mean, like, I don't know if it's good for the world. It probably is not. The internet's probably not good for the world, but like they really like it's why it's doing so well, I think.
Yeah. Do you ever find like with making content for the internet, how much of a financial burden is it? You know, because, you know, if you want production value, you might have to buy props or buy a thing for a video or something like that. Like, does that get in your way?
I think like as like a freelance video editor, like it costs me in just time that I could be spending on things that pay me. That's really it. Like I don't spend a lot of money on the stuff that I'm making. It's more so like I don't have a job where I go, like now I do, where I clean doorknobs, but when I was like back in the day before COVID, I didn't have a job where I like clocked in or anything like that. So it was like I have to work making these silly internet videos into my schedule where I have to actually edit for clients. So that's where it costs me. That's how it costs me, I think.
Right. Where I mean, for me right now, it's like literally just trying to use whatever equipment I have. Like I'm really trying to like time is money, right? Like that's what it really is, because like of course I could buy a $2,000 camera, I could buy like a $500 mic, I could get a new laptop, I could do all that, but like my content can still be like boring and like no one wants to watch it, right? So for me, it's like, for me right now, it's like I just want to get better at creating content that like makes me happy, and then eventually I can like put more money into it, and when I'm actually like making money from it, and and also I mean like it's different for me because I'm not like a video editor, I'm not anything, I'm just literally like an artist trying to find like a platform that will pay me, because like there's no I'm not going to get paid doing live performances right now, which like basically I was looking to do, like which I was getting like, and I was at a point as a tap dancer where I could charge like a really good amount for like my time, because I'm a very like experienced tap dancer, and like as an artist you have to make sure like you charge people like the amount that you deserve, like, and it feels weird too, because
100%.
you feel like, oh my gosh, is this like way too much money to charge this person or whatever, but then you're like, No, I went to see my therapist and spent $300. I went to see a buddy, spent, we've spent the same amount of time like
Yeah.
working on our craft. Why should I just like do this for free or something? So now like that's not in the books. I'm like, okay, if I spend enough time like investing the time money into like this YouTube thing, like, or social media, then like hopefully then I can get paid from it later, right?
Yeah.
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 I guess too, like once you like start making money from it, it's about putting that money into things that will save you time.
Yeah.
Like yeah, you could go buy like an Arri Alexa amazing
Mhm.
camera or something, but it's like, if it's gonna take you an hour longer to set that up compared to your
Yeah.
iPhone.
No,
what's the
Yeah,
point?
definitely investing into things that save you time, investing into things that keep you on schedule, all that kind of stuff.
And,
And I don't think you're investing again with money. You're investing with like your priorities. Like
yeah.
you spend your
Mhm.
time on things that will save you time. Like I think it's good to
Yeah.
it's fair to say that in the arts like nobody's making a lot of money. So when we're talking about
Yeah.
spending money,
Yeah.
we're talking about time. And like
Yeah.
on the TikTok and stuff like that, like I've got a
Yeah.
following of like 150,000 people. I've never made any money on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like you need to be
Right.
making you need to be having a lot of views, a lot of like have a huge following to get paid. And
TikTok is tough. There's just like,
yeah.
and
That's true.
Yeah.
no
I mean,
wow.
there is little things that I can make money on, but like a lot of it is like things where it's like companies reaching out and being like, "Hey, do you want to promote our
Brand
tea and
placement.
make a funny TikTok song about our tea?" And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I think it's not going to do very well. Like it's like if I'm going to make an advertisement
Yeah.
about your tea, it's not going to be like very. I don't think it's going to like you guys probably won't like it. Like it might like the version of it
Yeah.
that does well will be
Yeah.
probably not something that does well for you guys, but then the version of it that's just a straight promo, nobody wants to watch an advertisement. Like these kids grew up watching advertisements. They know what it is now. They know when an Instagram post is an ad.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were talking about like charging people too. Like I totally feel that with like freelance stuff. And a lot of times I'm working with my friends and stuff like that. And a lot of like I have a hard time charging an actual amount that I probably should charge. It's just like sort of this
Mhm.
confidence of like that you like knowing that you actually can that what you know and what you can produce is worth this amount of money. And also I find like I'm sort of at a battle with like the younger version of me that would do this job for so much cheaper because they wanted to build their reel. Like when I'm talking to a client and I'm like charging them this number that now I feel confident charging them, I know that there's like there's like a 18-year-old Max that's somewhere out there on Craigslist that would do this job for like so much cheaper, if not free. And they know that too. So it's like,
Right.
it's like, oh man,
Yeah.
like we I think we're told like just do this stuff for free, like grind it out. You got to work for nothing because then you'll get like this reel and stuff like that. But I think we just lower the bar of like what we do. We just lower the like kind of what it's worth.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For everybody across the board.
Getting paid in exposure.
Oh my god,
is
the
not
amount of
getting
jobs
paid.
I've done on Craigslist, like I could literally do a whole podcast about just ridiculous things people have asked me to do on like
Yeah.
What's the dumbest
I
thing?
one time had to Photoshop a dude's cat out of a photo of him with he had a photo of himself where he wanted to look skinnier. Like I got rid of a little bit of the tub, and then he also wanted to Photoshop out this cat. He had a cat in the shop. That's the Photoshop jobs, man. Like that, I did that for a long time, and like shout out to anyone doing like freelance Craigslist Photoshop jobs. I know that life. It is so fucking stupid. Like, oh my god, it's so funny what people will ask you to do though.
But that's the thing too, is like that's literally what, like, because there is no infrastructure for freelance artists, like you have to do that. Like at a certain point when you're a certain age trying to start, like that's just like the reality, right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Like that's sort of, we just don't really have like a different way where like someone can get this experience doing video content or like the editing in any way where they don't have to do it for free or for just really cheap.
Yeah.
And then like we were saying, bring the bar of like how much things should cost down for everybody, because because everyone knows that you could find it for cheaper because people are willing to, like, especially in photography world, I think people there's a big sort of thing about charging someone the proper amount, because there's this idea like that, you know, everyone could do it now. Like everyone can take photos or everyone can take videos and edit. Like everyone's got like a son or a nephew that can video edit or whatever, that you're like, well, I could just have this person do it, you know? And then everybody sort of just can't. And then you're just like, you have to be like a company, or you have to be someone who's just like really flexible. And I don't really know how to fix it, because we don't really like, they're like, I don't know who's gonna hire somebody for like someone who doesn't have a lot of experience doing video editing or whatever, and like pay them a proper amount. Like it's sort of like I don't know.
Yeah, because there's no standard of like, okay, you've done 20 videos, now you graduated and you can get paid. Like, you know, like even after doing film school, there's no like, or even being an actor after finishing like Studio 58, the most, you know, one of the top schools, you're still gonna get undercut, and like you have to like you have to fight for yourself in this industry so much. And
with everything being on the internet, you know, for me, I'm like a freelance prop maker, set designer, artist kind of guy, and there's so much content on the internet about how to make things for uber cheap, how to make a film set for $10, how to make a prop for $5, and then someone hires me and they're like, hey, so I need like you to make this thing, and can you do it for super cheap? I'm like, yeah, I can like buy cheap materials, but guess what? Cheap materials cost more time. I want to get paid for my time. So it's always that balance of, you know, you have to know what you know and know that the other person just doesn't know that, and be okay with like saying like, listen, I've been doing this for a while, like please listen to me.
And it's trying to get them to that point where they trust that you know what you're talking about, and get yourself to the point where you know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Because there's also the flip of this, where someone is like doesn't actually know what they're doing, and they sort of charge way too much, and they pretend, and they sort of bullshit their way, and then people are like kind of scarred from that. So like as the freelancers, you need to know that you actually have the skill, and then be able to communicate that to the client some way.
And oftentimes they actually hired you because you have that skill, and because you're not afraid to communicate that with them.
Some people respect that. Some people don't. Like if you undercharge or something like that, they think that you don't like kind of believe in yourself. You know?
I had one experience one time. I got called into like stage manager's show really last minute, and like they called me at like 10 a.m. and I had like literally just woken up. They're like, hey, I need someone to like stage manage this like tonight. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And then they're like, how much do you want to get paid? And like I was half awake, so I was like, I don't know, like $15 an hour. And like, no, how about 18? Like, wow, that's a really nice thing to do. So like sometimes you get lucky, and people are like, no, like you're worth more than that. Like I guess actually that's a good question, is how much luck do you think is involved in being a freelance artist?
I mean, there's luck, and then there's like just the like it depends on your like, I think where you're at in society and where you live too, because like there's privileges that come along with like this kind of stuff, where like you have more chance of being successful just based on like your skin color or your gender or like your economic socioeconomic status, and like whereas like some other people, like other people who don't have all those privileges, rely on luck to like get them some jobs. So like I think that's like a big factor, and like because if you're around, like it's a lot of the time it's who you know, right? Like it's who you know, who you're connected with, who's just going to refer you, who's there, like, and when that ball starts rolling, like, and it's who you know. When you blow up and people know you and you know people, then you have a better chance of that. But
totally. I think something also about charging your rate and stuff like that, like knowing who is paying like I think we were talking about, that was earlier, like who is actually paying for the, like where's the money coming from in the thing that
Right.
you're working on.
Mhm.
And I think that if you know that you're working for like sort of like a group of people, you know, that don't have a lot of money, that like, or maybe in like a different, different like that don't come from privilege or something like that. I think that's
Yeah.
like an opportunity where you can use your privilege and your skill to cut, like, you know, not charge or do
Absolutely.
like a discount or something like that. Like
Mhm.
those are the people that you should be, making a reasonable thing, or even volunteering just to help out and use what you already have,
Yeah.
because that's super valuable to people that don't have that. And then on the flip side of that, knowing you're working for a huge company or something like that, like charge a proper price, because
Mhm.
that is a
Take their
huge
money.
company.
They have it.
They
have the money.
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
they most of the times that big company is going to ask you how much you want to get paid, just so that they don't have to, like, because they're going to be like, they're just going to go with whatever you said. Like they won't go with whatever you said, but if your number is lower than what they would have paid,
They're
they're going to
say,
go
Yeah.
with your number, because that's just how they're kind of like that.
Yeah.
But there's the flip side of that, like what I was saying before, that I think is something to note on for sure for freelance artists and people of privilege,
Yeah, 100%. Because both of you went to school to hone your crafts. Coincidentally, both at Langara College.
Yes.
Uh,
Shout out Langara.
yeah, what's up? What's up, Langara? Matisse and
Is
I.
that sponsorship at Langara?
Yeah. Hey.
I heard that there was a gym in Langara, and I thought that was wild. I'd never seen a gym. I was like, really? There's a gym in.
You should make a TikTok about Langara.
Oh yeah, let's see if they'll like
Yeah.
pay me.
I was gonna ask though,
Yeah.
what's something that you guys learned going to school that you wouldn't have otherwise learned?
Matisse, do you want to go ahead?
Honestly, for me, like, I knew that you don't have to go to school to like be successful. Like, you
Mhm.
really don't.
Right.
Like, you can. It's obviously going to help you in a lot of ways, make connections and all that too. For me, what like I found was that I was like, okay, I just want to commit to something and then like follow through with it.
Yeah.
And so it was more like I learned more about myself, that like I can like go into a uncomfortable situation and then like work hard and like get to the end of it. And I graduated and I felt like really accomplished, and that sort of like helped me learn how to just like do rather than be like sort of afraid of the outcome. Like, because you can find mentorship, like you can find mentorship. There's like plenty of like, I think it's almost can be better in a lot of ways to just go find someone, like study under them and work hard, and then like that will grow into connections and into like a career. And school is school, like you can learn a lot of stuff because it's all like concentrated in one place, and it helps you grow. But for me, what I took the most, it was like I was just able to like do this program, finish it, like feel accomplished in that way, and then come out of it knowing that I can put all my energy into something.
Yeah. Also, I think it's important to say, like, in the video and film world or whatever, like it's 100% not essential to go to school. I know it's just as many people that went to school that are doing well that didn't go to school that are doing well, and maybe more. The best thing that I learned in film school, or the best thing about school for me, I guess, was about like equally about the stuff I learned, because I learned a lot about how to sort of make films myself, instead of like sort of trying to find people to make the films, like doing it yourself. The things you need to do if you wanted to join the film industry in Vancouver, like it's kind of simple, but they taught you how to do that. And then just the 100%, like the people like you meet, like when I say, if you're going to film school or something, like keep in mind that the people that you're going to school with are going to be the people that are going to help you make your movies for the next like couple of years, and like your close friends.
Yeah.
Learning how to work with your friends, like, and collaborate and be like, being friends and also being work friends, like that's a whole skill that you learn. There's things that you learn in school and film school that they're not intentionally trying to teach you. I think you just learn those things from like being like, hey, here's your group of people that you have to go make a film with, and then you're like, oh, we all have different personality types and we all work differently. And in film you make these tiny little these little hierarchies of like the director to the PA, you know, like these little chess
Mhm.
pieces. And you know, like you have to be in those worlds, but not let those like not let that get too out of hand. Like and your personality, like say you're someone who's like a driven leader or something like that, like you want to be able to do that, but you're in a role where there's someone else who has to do that role on the set.
Yeah.
Learning how to work with that, like that's a whole nother thing that is a difficult task.
Yeah. No, and for that too, like those people you're gonna work with for the rest of your life, like
Yeah.
you get to know them so well in such a short amount of time, and and even all the instructors
Yeah.
and all the professionals that come to work with you. I mean, it's definitely like a concentrated bubble where you can like get to know a lot of people quickly and work with them and learn to work with new people, the
Yeah.
same people. Like I definitely found as a tap dancer going into a theater program,
Mhm.
the tap dancing is like from the dance community it's seen as like a secondary dance. From like theater it's seen as like a secondary part of theater. Like it's very much always sort of on the outskirts. And so like for me, like if I wanted to try and join the theater community without going to Studio 58, of course I could have done it. I would have had to like work really hard and put the same amount of hours I did at school. Although at school it's just like there and it's like these are like, you know, this is the people, this is the hours you like put in that work. But I felt like it was definitely like a good way for me to break into the theater community, get to know everyone that's there like in a short amount of time, and then now come out on the other side and be like, okay, I'm a tap dancer still, but now I have like this whole pool of like connections and people that support me and I support them, that like we can grow in our own things.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Yeah.
I think also like for me, I went straight into film school after high school, and
Mhm.
like all my high school buddies, like they did end up being all in sort of the arts, but like when I was making films in high school, it was like sort of like forcing my group of friends to all be filmmakers with me to make these movies.
Right. Yeah.
And
I
like
feel
not
that.
necessarily all of them, like some of them go into completely different schoolings. Like actually a lot of them are in the arts, but like they all have their own sort of thing. And then you go into like your film school or theater school and you're like, oh, everyone here is trying to make film or theater or
Mhm.
in some way. And then that's where it goes to again to like these are the people this is your first community of people that you're going to meet that are all going to be you're going to be working with in film, and then their friends that make films and their friends and the people they know. So be a decent person.
Yeah.
You know, like be easy to work with, but like be, you know, confident, like just like be conscious of your personality when you're in school more as much as you are about what you're learning. You know, because I think people sometimes are just like, I'm just going to school and I don't need to be friends with anybody. I just need to go do well in the tests. And I think in different fields that's probably the case, but in film school, like it's such a in like art school, I think it's a very collaborative thing. You need to make friends as well.
No, I went into like theater school thinking I knew everything. I was like the kid who was like, yeah, like I already tap dance. I've already worked with like, I've already done big stages. I've done like tons of stuff with dance. And I came in thinking like I was just going to be like the perfect student. I was going to come in, like do all my shit. And then like that got flipped on its head. Like on the first project when I got paired up with Marcus, and Marcus is coming in just like the opposite of me. Marcus is just like, I'm just like, I just like, he was just like it was just like genuine love for building things.
Thanks,
I'm
man.
speaking for you, but it didn't seem
Go
like
ahead.
he really knew what he was getting into. And
Yeah, I was jumping
I
off the
was
deep
like,
end for
okay, I
sure.
know exactly what I'm getting into. And then like you realize that you need to have like that balance between where Marcus and I were at the beginning of our time at studio, where like now at the end I feel like we've now matched up, where it's like, okay, we're still both like genuinely love our art, but we're also like more focused and like
Yeah.
productive, I guess.
Yeah.
Because if you're like so productive and you're like, okay, I'm like perfect, like you lose that like fun aspect. You forget to just like enjoy the art that you're making and sharing, right?
Yeah.
The biggest thing I think I learned going to theater school is like it's like what you were saying, Max. It's like you get to meet like-minded people, and you get to meet them in a space where it's safe to fail. And I think that's like the most valuable experience that I had. It's just making big dumb mistakes and laughing it off, and then like coming back better next week.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Making videos and films that like I think like making whatever content you're making and finishing, like that's the biggest thing for me, is like starting and finishing these things, even though like and you can be okay, like you can be like, oh, this isn't good, this isn't actually like what I wanted to be, this is actually bad, but like complete it, because if you get to the point where it's bad and then you go like, oh, that's bad, and then stop making it, you don't really absorb it for the next project like you would if you completed it.
Right.
You know, I think
Totally.
there's sort of a difference there where you like you completed the whole thing, and then you maybe showed it to people, and whatever the response was, you didn't win the contest, or people didn't like it, or it didn't do very well on YouTube, or however, then the next time you go in and you can adjust or know what you learned from the last thing. But I think the biggest part is actually completing the thing. I think we can get, because like if you just stop when you failed, then I think your likeliness to start again gets less every time.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Also, you get I read somewhere that you also get a dopamine hit anytime that you explain a project that you're working on, or that you have an idea of, to a friend. Because every time you get you get a positive response from somebody, then that kind of just encourages you to keep doing it and not really finish it.
Oh,
or
yeah.
even start on
yeah.
it, you know?
Yeah, telling people
like,
about the
talk about it
things
all day
yeah.
long and like not do shit. Yeah.
I have this idea about like, you know, sci-fi thing, and it's all this and it's all that, but I'm never gonna do it.
It's the same, and then like people make excuses like, oh, but it would cost $5 million, so I could never do that.
And that's like what I literally did with YouTube. I was like, for 3 months, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. Like, yeah, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. And then like realizing, oh, I haven't started a YouTube channel. Like, talking out of my ass, and then like doing it, and then being like committed to it, right? And then like it's like you realize that once you start, it's much bigger than just like you talking about it, you know?
Starting's the hardest part, and once you've done it,
we definitely felt that way for this podcast for a few months.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't want to come across like this isn't something that I do all the time. Like I definitely fail and don't pick it up again. You know, I definitely like say I'm gonna do something and then don't do it. It's 100% like something that I do and that I recognize like doesn't help me. So like I don't want to do it as much. But also like I think a thing about that is if you're in that place where like you want to do this thing, you're talking about doing this thing, and you're not like doing it at all, you need to sort of have like an awkward, shitty conversation with yourself where you lower the standards of what the thing that you want to do. Because in your head, you know, you're always just like, well, it would cost this much money, or this is what I want it to look like. And if it's not going to look like that or have this thing, then I'm not going to do it. Or whatever. And then it's like, okay, keep bringing it down. Like lower your standards, which is a really weird advice to give someone, but like lower your standards to a point where you do the thing, because that is more valuable.
And that's what it came down to for me, is like I was talking about it and I was like, okay, I want to get like a camera, I want to do this, whatever. And then after watching enough like start your own YouTube channel videos on YouTube, I realized that the biggest takeaway is start before you're ready. Like, just start before you're ready, and you'll figure it out. Like, so like I'm using a shitty camera, like the sound is terrible, this and that and whatever. But at least I'm just doing it, and I know that I'm gonna like learn from each time I upload. And like, like if you're not doing it, you're not learning, you're not growing. And so
also like say an example of filmmaking is, I know there's a lot of directors out there that have like made their shitty student film version of the film that's sort of like magnum opus. So you get like that trial run, and it's like, okay, like 10 years from now I'll remake it when I, you know, and like doing things and letting it you learn so much from failure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the amount of times that you do something and it succeeds, it like is is not like I can't like I think the amount of times I've done something and then the amount of times that it's succeeded compared to it failed is so small that like you have to be learning from failures, because if you only learned from successes, then you wouldn't learn very
You're
much.
probably not learning at all.
Succeeding all the
Yeah.
time is so unrealistic.
One and done.
I know.
Yeah.
It seems so like such a great like.
It seems so negative,
so
but
great
like
though. It's like, oh,
that's
just
yeah.
succeed, no problem.
yeah, just
Yeah.
succeed. All
We
of
just
your
got to
things.
embrace
But-
failure more as a
And
society.
usually when it is like that, then you get people who are like who start, doing drugs, getting pills and this and that, because all they're getting is success and yeses, and then they're like not actually fulfilled or happy.
Yeah.
Well, there's no fun on easy mode.
I'm curious, Max. The first video on your YouTube channel was again with feeling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh yeah. That's the so that's my film school like the second term of film school project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I directed that movie written by Tyler Gilbert, starring Jared Kaplan and Virginia Penny. Yeah, it was a really it was a difficult movie to make.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in film school. It's a musical, and it's like there's like it's in a grocery store, which is like impossible to get. Like I can't, like just shooting. I think yeah, Marcus, you were in that movie.
I was an ensemble member. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that's one of those things where I honestly I thought like this might be relevant to what we were just talking about. Like that was a failure in my mind all the way up until the very end. And I think if I wasn't in school and didn't have to finish that project, it would have just been a failure.
Yeah.
And then because it was seen all the way through and worked on and just sort of like, I'm just going to finish this failure of a video, like movie. Like I really thought I hadn't done it justice. And there's still things, obviously, when you make stuff, you always are going to look back at it and say things that you could make it better. I feel that way about that film, but that movie got into the New York City Mental Health Film Festival and flew us all out to New York, and I got to watch that movie in a New York theater.
Yeah.
And that was like a dream that
That's
I've always
sick.
had since I was a kid. So like it did succeed in different ways. And exactly what we were just talking about. Like I think that if I didn't finish it, I would have just thought it was a failure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I definitely did not bring that up as a failure.
Sort of just kind of came around there. I don't know.
Also, as someone who was on set for a small chunk of that movie, I think you handled you talking about how stressful it was, and like you were scared for it to fail. Like I didn't get that vibe as someone who was,
right,
working under your direction.
I think that the part that like that part is stressful. Shooting a movie is stressful a lot for like the producers and ADs and stuff like that. It's super stressful, but the part where I get stressed out mostly is when I have all the footage in the computer, and that's where it becomes like something that I feel like I can't put all together, like make into a movie.
There's no take backs. There's no like, take another shot at that, or
so while I was fucking freaking out on set, it's like just get all this footage that you can get, make it happen, and then all the freakouts can happen by yourself in a tiny little editing suite,
Yeah.
Because the videos that you make change up so much, like it's that short film, and then you got like the TikTok meme content, and then like documentaries. Do you find that what you're curious about changes often? And if so, what are you curious about next?
Yeah, it is sort of I find like I'm doing stuff like on TikTok. I'm doing TikTok videos, obviously, and on Instagram I'm doing this other sort of content where I'm like sort of documenting my life, and then I'm doing this music I'm doing music myself and like putting that on Spotify. So all of this sort of content where they exist in their realms gets sort of like funneled down to YouTube. Like my YouTube account has really just been like, well, I finished that thing, let's put it up on my YouTube. Just it's almost like an archive place. Like it doesn't like if someone were to come to my account as like oh, Max Boonch, let's see what the kind of content, they could watch one video and then the next video would just completely not make any sense to that last video,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think for myself, like the thing that I'm interested in right now is making music. And I know I was talking about like someone getting a platform and then suddenly they're an artist. I'd like to say I have been making music since I was like in elementary school and stuff like that. Like it's always been a passion of mine. And now that I have this sort of platform of TikTok, like I was like, well, I know there's this project I want to make. I'm gonna sit down and actually really do it and like kind of see it all the way through. And yeah, just put out that album, Thinking Problem, on Spotify. Is that a plug? I didn't mean to plug it. I'm just saying the name of it.
Plug away.
But yeah, that's to answer your question. That's the current focus is music, and it's been nice to take a break from video world, because that's been what I thought I was just gonna do my entire life since I was like I was like 12. I'm like, well, I'm making videos. I'm gonna put all of my eggs into this basket and just put this is what I'm gonna do for my living. This is what I'm gonna try and do as like make my dream or whatever. And then I was like, oh, I actually really like making music as well. And so now we're like put that out and we're practicing a lot to get to a point where we can play it live when that becomes a thing again.
You got time.
Very cool.
That's the best part.
Yeah, we got lots of time to practice. This is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of the passion right now is music, which has been really, really nice to sort of switch up your medium, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Would you say that's what you're going through with YouTube, Matisse? Is like stretching yourself?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I'm jumping into a new medium for sure, but still trying to like, and it's kind of like what Max is saying, but in a different way. Like for me, YouTube is like a funnel of like all the art forms that I like love, is like music, dancing, and food, basically. And that can just like all be funneled into one place on YouTube for me. So like I've always loved creating music, but it's so hard to it's so hard, like when you're a multidisciplinary artist, it's so hard to like continue working each and every like muscle of like all the things you love, because like you sort of have to put like at least 95% of your time into like the one thing for it to like actually become anything.
Totally.
I find like if you're just sort of doing 20% in everything, like nothing's gonna like happen. And so like Max is saying, like right now he's in music, so he's like going in on music. Right now I'm on YouTube. I'm just concentrating on literally putting out a video every Wednesday. Like that's like literally my main focus is like, what am I gonna put out next Wednesday? And like, so I'm like, I need to put 100% of my time in this. Luckily I can sort of dabble in some other art forms and include it in there. But taking this on and
like that's what I've realized is like when you get comfortable with calling yourself an artist, and less so maybe like, you know, for you, Max, to be like a filmmaker, and for Matisse to be like a tap dancer. But once you're like, I'm an artist, it kind of frees you up to do whatever you want,
right?
Because it's all under that umbrella of art.
I wish that, I don't know, that like calling yourself an artist feels like it's got this connotation of like, oh, he's a like
it is terrifying,
you know, like oh, I'm an artist. Like if you're to introduce
a double-edged sword, like you're an artist, but like, okay, but what are you really?
But like you're really a barista at Starbucks. Like, come on, what's the real thing?
I think there's just like a certain level of like, I don't know about calling myself an artist. It feels very pretentious. Like I wish there was a better term, but I hear what you're saying about like I think like there's like social media influencers have been like what someone might refer to me on like TikTok, but I'll just be like content creator, which pretty much means nothing. It means you make you make things like if you're making set pieces and stuff like that, Marcus, like you're a content creator by like so I just like that term. It's just
like a different way of saying artist. Really.
If you make yourself like cereal in the morning, you're a content creator. I guess. Like that's
like your live content.
It goes back to like the Mario thing. Like you're just a guy, man. Like, he's just trying to save Peach, but he's like not quite getting there ever. You know, like
you got on a 2D scroller. You know, you can either go backwards or you can go forwards. What you can do.
Yeah, but you were sort of talking about like calling yourself like referring yourself as an artist frees you up a bit, right?
Yeah, it's a terrifying hurdle to get over, and it was something that Matisse, you and I were in the same class at Studio 58, and I remember we got that talk. You know, like end of the day, they're not trying to teach actors or designers. You know, they're trying to make us artists. So, however that happens, it happens. You know,
Can't really just be one thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, also what Matisse was saying about like I felt that a lot about like just there's so many different things I want to do and different like mediums and stuff like that I never feel like if I had time to just sit down and do one thing, I could really do it incredibly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of a hard thing. Like you only have so much of yourself, you know? And I don't know if you should limit yourself to just one thing because you could be great at it.
Yeah. I've heard that put into a metaphor of like if you're laying bricks for houses, like you could either lay one brick at a time for one house or lay one brick at a time for 5 houses.
Yeah.
You're going to build one house faster versus 5, but
right.
There's something that
take longer.
Yeah, but there's something that infuriates me about that because like I don't want to just build one house. I want to do a lot of things because I only have so much time to build all these houses. So may as well just go for it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, however long I guess in that metaphor, it's like it will take longer to build 5 houses, but like if you try harder, I guess, or like go really hard, really passionate about it,
get help,
you could probably build all 5 houses in the time that it might take someone to build one house, I guess. If you like, that might also be not the most healthy way to live. I don't know. There's a balance of everything. Like you should also just not be making stuff at some point. Like you should just be playing video games and hanging out with your friends and
totally
like there's like sort of an obsession of it that I found in myself that's like it makes me just the things I make at some point, you know what I mean? Where like I'm like, oh, this is Max, he does this is the things that he does, but like nobody knows, like I don't know what I'm actually like what does he do? What is he like? I don't know.
No, and that, I mean, for me, like having a kid put a lot of that in perspective, like being like, you know, like this is I want to like continue with my career, but like it's so easy for it to take over 24/7. But when I have like a kid and like a partner, it's like, okay, when is our just like day off where we're just our family? We're not we're not content creators, we're not artists, we're whatever. We're just parents and you know, a daughter and like and a kid or whatever. And so that's like definitely helped me have like a separate purpose to my life that like I know is valuable to someone else's life, right? And it was definitely like hard for me to be like a young dad going through school trying to start my career, but also like I feel like it helped me in a lot of ways, like sort of have like a more like sort of take myself out of it, have like a different perspective. So
Marcus, do you want to go into our rapid fire?
Yeah, let's do that.
Rapid
fire questions are just like they're fun little questions we're gonna ask you. It's just kind of a way to cool off from the deep end that we were in, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
The first one's for Max.
Okay. I feel like I'm on like Family Feud. Let's just I'm freaking out.
It's just like don't overthink it. It's just first thing that comes to your mind.
I'm not good at that, but okay, yeah.
All right. Google Drive or Dropbox?
Google Drive.
What's the weirdest thing a guest has done at your house?
Oh, we had some guys come over and film like a fake water birth at our house at one point. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm just going to leave it at that. Actually, little plug, Gritsmore. Check it out. Okay, go on.
A genre you wish you could write is?
Romance.
What inanimate object do you wish you could eliminate from existence?
You know the decals on cars that say baby on board, but they're like the little baby from Hangover? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
yeah. Those.
Matisse,
those
do you have one of those?
Well, no.
No? Okay. I hate those decals. It's been 10 years. It's not funny anymore.
It's so true.
Why is that? Like, why did they capitalize so much on that little baby from Hangover being literally it's 2020. It's still like one of the most used like there's a baby on board. Also, the hangover was funny.
Yeah.
Like,
The kid who's probably like 13 now. is
Yeah.
yeah.
The kid born when The Hangover came out is 10 years old. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's such a
Yeah.
it's like just two really weird like two worlds, just like car safety and also the hangover. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's like, what's gonna be actually more distracting at
Yeah.
It makes me so mad. Like, anyways, sorry, go on.
Do you snore?
No, but I sleep talk.
Oh.
Yeah. You were gonna say like there's a thing at the end where like we're gonna talk about something cool. Like we'll leave it for that. But yeah. Keep
Okay.
going.
All right.
What's the favorite nickname you had?
I think my favorite nickname is Max Boonch because my best friend Joe called me that on his show, and it stuck really well. And it's been like my name for all of my social media.
Nice. Beard or clean shaven?
I would grow a beard if I could.
There it is.
Mosquito bite or sunburn?
Which would I like more or don't like more?
I guess don't like more.
Oh, mosquito bite.
Sweet.
That's it. Okay, cool. Yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
What movie would be better if it turned into a musical?
It turned into a musical. Actually, I think I'll switch this up on you. I think La La Land should have not been a
Okay.
musical.
Respect. I can
Not
see that. I
yeah,
can definitely
probably.
see that. Okay. Yeah. What would be the worst buy one get one free sale?
Like guns.
Yeah. That's a good idea. What would be the coolest animal to scale up to the size of a horse?
The coolest? Oh, I don't know, like a lizard or something.
Yeah, just get closer to dinosaurs. What would be the weirdest thing to name a child?
Any like pop culture reference or something like
Hmm,
there's some absurd names going out there right now.
yeah, 100%. If peanut butter wasn't called peanut butter, what would you call it?
That ooey gooey creamy delicious.
Skydiving or race car driving?
Skydiving.
Starbucks or bubble tea?
Bubble tea.
Disney World or the Bahamas?
The Bahamas.
The Disney Channel or Nickelodeon?
The Disney Channel.
Well, that's interesting. Okay.
Kind of
You did-
controversial. I'm the
Yeah.
same way though. I am.
Really?
just-
Only because my daughter is obsessed with Frozen.
Wow,
If
that
you
was a
can
good cue.
she
She just woke up. Yeah. It's
said, "Did
literally
someone
like
say Frozen?"
Frozen
Yeah.
Onward and like all day long.
Wow. All I'm gonna say is Nickelodeon has the last Airbender, so
True.
that's
Yeah.
that's where I sit.
Hey.
Awesome. Hey.
Safi, hello.
For those listening, he has his child in his hands right now.
Yes,
Hi.
it's very adorable.
It'd be a good way to keep her quiet.
Well, I guess last thing we want to do is we're gonna go into a little thing called One Cool Thing, where you can just tell us one cool thing that you've done in your life, witnessed in your life, or done this week. Do you wanna? You mentioned earlier.
David
Matt,
is
you had
so
something,
excited
Max?
about it. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So I sleep talk. I started to use this app that I could record myself like talking in my sleep.
Whoa.
Let me know if I ever vlogging or, you know, joking.
I fully say words at some point.
Good day to you too. Blue and brown pants, dude.
So, there's curse words in there, but there's words as well. So
Fucking look at all those old ass American.
I also woof like a dog for some reason. It's really scary. Really scary.
Dude,
Nice.
So yeah, that's my cool thing that's happening right
Wow.
now.
Wow.
Whoa.
I love how you record yourself sleeping. You really are a man that records.
I'm really archiving literally even my unconscious state.
Yeah.
Do you remember your dreams afterwards and then turn those into videos?
Honestly, I dream every night. I remember some of them. I don't remember most of them. I get up and I don't remember them. They're not sort of your typical dream of like magical stuff or like a sort of
Yeah.
fantasy world. It's very like real issues, real people that I know. Like it's not like
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah, it's pretty like I don't know. Like I'll have issues with my computer in my dreams. I'll have like, hard drive
Yeah.
issues,
Yeah.
riding the bus, like really like standard stuff.
Yeah, I've had the same thing happen to me where like I'll like dream like a really hard day at school or at work, and then I'll wake
Yeah.
and I'm like I'll like go home like, oh, finally I can go to bed, and then like going to bed
back.
wakes me up. I'm like, wait, no, I have to do that now. Like,
Whoa.
yeah,
Yeah,
That's the worst.
that's a
But yeah.
weird curse.
yeah.
Yeah.
But how about you, Matisse? What's one cool thing you've got going on or from your past?
Well, what's one cool thing, Safi? Honestly, I mean, having like it's gonna be sappy, but having like Safi
Wow, that rhymed. I
like
love
in
that.
my life is like the coolest thing ever. She's so cool, right? And she's like just seeing her grow up and like that, like her lens is so unfiltered and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's just like you can literally just try and see from her perspective, and it like helps me with everything, like every art, like anything art or anything that I do, like just her willingness to accept anything that comes in front of her and like just be like, okay, what's that, like let's go, like, and just finding like that pure joy in those things that you love to do.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
I like how I'm talking about myself woofing in
Yeah.
my sleep. Talking about his child.
Being a
your
father
one
is really
I
rewarding.
talk and snore in my sleep.
Oh,
and
okay. You gotta start
my
recording
partner
yourself.
literally tries to like suffocate me every single night.
Can each of you say where people can find you on social media, YouTube, TikTok, and what your handles are?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Matisse Keglia, MATISSEQUAGLIA, on all other platforms, on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. It's matisse.jq, MATISSE.jq.
Mine's Max Boonch, MAXBOONCH. Everything is Max Boonch. So just search that up on whatever platform you'd like.
Sweet.
Yeah. Also, quick plug, check out the Joe Rogan Show on YouTube. New episode coming out. It's very soon.
The new episode,
Yeah,
finally.
New
Hey.
episode, new season, new episode.
Well, I think we did it.
Yeah, that was really
that's
that
it.
was really fun. Thanks for asking me to do this.
Of course.
Absolutely.
It was nice talking to you, Matisse.
Yeah, you too, Max. It was good to get to know you a bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I need any editing tips, I'll definitely hit
Yeah,
you
man.
up.
For sure.
Or if I need to actually pay an editor.
There you go.
I can't be editing for my whole existence.
Yeah, man.
This whole podcast is a glorified excuse to network.
Yeah.
Peace.
Have
Thanks
a
for
good
coming,
day.
man.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Thanks.
Q Bong or Q Gong.